Is it worth it to get married? That's the topic we all talking about right now, and I'm hearing a lot of pushback on it. So let me give you my point of view on marriage, right? To be completely honest, I personally don't feel like you should get married or be worried about marriage if you don't have children or don't plan on having children. It doesn't make any sense. That's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it. If you do agree with it, that's great. If you don't, that's also great. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm not here to argue with anybody about facts or what's fiction. I'm giving my point of view. That's why the channel is called My Point of View. Just remember that when you start leaving comments. I don't understand why people take it so personal, but at the end of the day, I know how it goes, and I can take whatever comes with it. Now, the reason why I personally value marriage throughout life, because I always planned on getting married, and I always wanted to be married, especially before having a child. Now, give you a little background information on myself. I do have a child out of wedlock. I have never been married. So I do want to put that out there. I've never been married. And sometimes people say you can't preach it if you don't practice it. But I'm coming from a place where they say those who can't do, teach. So just because I haven't been married, that doesn't mean I don't have an opinion on it. That doesn't mean what I say is not factual. Just remember that. The reason growing up, I always wanted to get married, to be honest, was just for the monetary value of it. Obviously, I was a kid, so I didn't really see the whole aspect of it. I just remember being a kid and looking at all the married people that I knew in my life, and those were usually the people I wanted to be like. And when you were young, I used to hear a lot that if you want to be like somebody, you need to mimic their lives to a certain extent. When you look at all the billionaires and millionaires, they were always married. When I looked at all the people that was getting money around me in the hood, for the most part, that was older, all of them had a wife. Now, I'm not about to sit here and pretend like none of them ever cheated or I never seen a side chick like that. I'm not saying that. But all of the men I wanted to be like when I got older, they all were married. They all had a wife, and it just looked so fly, man. I used to see them pull up in the Benz or the Escalade, him and his wife matching Rolexes, matching meat coats or whatever, you know. Everybody talking about it. It was just like the it couple. And it wasn't like it was just one of them. I used to just see it, and I was like, man, I need that. That's where it's at. I'm getting married. Yeah, they getting money over there. All the people I seen that weren't married, to be honest, most of them was bums. And even the ones that weren't bums, like at a young age, it seemed like as they got older, they kind of aged out of money, if that makes sense. Like, they might have had a nice little run, and I'm not saying I've never seen a successful person that wasn't married, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to pretend like I didn't see more success with marriage. Even at a young age, I can see that, so I don't understand how most people can't. Now, to be quite frank, nowadays, I still feel like women understand the values of being married, and they understand the benefits of it for a woman's aspect. The main topic I see everybody going back and forth on is mostly the men. Men nowadays cannot understand what's the benefit of getting married. And like I said, if you don't have children or want children, it's not too many benefits I can tell you. It is some. We can talk about the monetary value of being married. But to be completely honest with you, every time I see somebody touch on this aspect of being married, they all say the same thing. They all have the same talking points. And to be honest with you, it all sounds Googleable. I feel like I can type any of that into ChatGPT and it's going to give me the same response. I don't feel like anybody's really thinking for themselves nowadays. Don't get me wrong, great minds think alike for the most part, but at the end of the day, it's just so much dialogue that's just repeating itself. And I don't understand how nobody has put it in the terms that I feel like I can put it in. So I'm going to put it in easier terms for me. Men, hear me out, right? Marriage is for legacy. Legacy. It's a business. Your wife is your business partner. And you know what her job is? To make sure that no matter what, that family name pushes forward. I.e., kids. Now, a lot of people that try to give me a little pushback on it when I say this, but just hear me out. First of all, as a man, your legacy is what you leave behind on this earth. It's usually the children you raise and the empires you build. Most empires are not built with just a man by himself without a queen. That's just true. I've never really heard of an empire in life that didn't have a queen. So if you don't want to believe me, just read your history book. Tell me, name one that didn't have a queen. I'll wait. That's for one. Just think about it like this. I'm going to make it real simple for a lot of people because people nowadays can't think for themselves and they don't know how to read between the lines. Say, for instance, you have a child, right? You have a kid. You and your son's mom splits or daughter mom splits. They're not living with you. Can you honestly attest to what your child is going to grow up to become if you're not around them on a daily basis? Not even necessarily daily basis, but your mindset and value is not around them on a daily basis. The one thing a lot of people don't realize when it comes to women, once you're no longer a part of them, i.e. in a relationship with them or a part of their life, you don't really control it anymore. You don't really have the same amount of say-so as you would if you were still actively dating them. Your opinion is not as strong as a person who was living with them. It kind of goes out the window a little bit. Take me, for example. I'm going to use myself a lot in examples I give out in the future topics, including this one, just to show you my personal aspect of it. I have one child. He was born out of wedlock. I have never been married. Me and his mom was in a relationship for a nice amount of, not nice amount of time, but for some years, and got a baby out of it. I'm a vegan, right? I would prefer my children to be raised as vegans. My son's mom is not a vegan. Luckily, she still had enough respect for me to keep the veganism going on, even though we are in separate houses. Because there's nothing stopping her from giving him a piece of chicken. She could have gave him one and just didn't tell me about it. I doubt it, but it's possible. As a man, the children you leave behind is a reflection of you. And it shows the upbringing that you provided for them. If my son's not a vegan or he's not healthy or at his peak, that falls back on me, just like it falls back on the mom, but it more so falls back on the man. Because men get judged a lot harder than women. That's just, it is what it is. And say, for instance, like, think of the religious aspect of it. Say, for instance, you're a Muslim. And you want your kids to be Muslims. The mom breaks up, y'all break up, and she has her own house. What if she doesn't want to be a Muslim? What if she doesn't like religion at all? Can you tell her that she has to raise the kids to be Muslims? How can she do that if she doesn't even follow the religion? Not saying it's impossible, but it's a little harder. What if the new man she dates happens to be Jewish? What do you do then if the new man she dates happens to be Jewish? You can't argue and fight. Y'all broke up. Y'all wasn't married. How can you be mad that she chose to follow the path of the new man in her life? You're not in her life anymore. Most women are going to follow the man in their life. What are your kids going to be? They're going to be Muslim, they're going to be Jewish, they're going to be Christian. What if they don't be anything at all? Would you feel some type of way about that? You might. Some people take their religion very seriously. You might. That's why a lot of cultures that's heavy in religion tend to get married, because they want their kids to grow up with the same traditional values and religious beliefs that they have. And if you break up, it's no way to guarantee that. That's one point. Well, that's 2 points. But another thing, I'm going to go back to me, a personal aspect. When I was younger, I could clearly see that it was a difference from my parents being separated, because I didn't grow up in a two-parent household. My parents were very decent co-parents, and my dad was married my whole life, but he wasn't married to my mom. And I can honestly tell you this, that if both of my parents would have stayed together my whole life, my life would be completely different. And my mom's life would be completely different, to be honest with you. But that's a topic for another day. I'm going to stick to the topic. My life would be completely different. And I knew this as a kid, because I can see where my mom's faults and my dad's faults were, and I can see where both of their strengths were. And I seen like at least my dad was strong in the places my mom was weak in, and vice versa. So if they were together, that would have worked out perfectly. It didn't, and it is what it is. I'm not that horrible of a person, but it could be better. And at the end of the day, that's my parents' fault. They chose to have children out of wedlock. And I remember being a kid, right, being able to play with my parents. Not even necessarily on purpose. I've seen kids do it on purpose. I was never doing it on purpose, but it happened. Like, say for instance, I'm in trouble at my dad's house. He about to whoop me. What I'm gonna do? Call my mama. Hey, mom, come get me. I want to come back home. Some kids bold enough to be like, he trying to whoop me over here. He tripping. And mama pull, you better not put your hand on my kid. She wouldn't say that to her husband. The mom would never say that to her husband. But a lot of parents, once you out of the house, you don't have the same respect. So now your kids are getting raised however they want to get raised over here. And I learned that with a lot of kids in my life. I would see you go over your mom's house and get complete structure. Then you go over your dad's house and he got you partying and chilling. You don't have a bedtime. Which one you think the kid is going to cling to more? It's usually the parent that's the fun. Kids don't want to be serious. They want to have fun. Dad is fun. Mom is fun. That's where I want to be. But if mom and dad were in the same house, it wouldn't be no dad is fun, mom is fun. It's like, we're here. Good days, bad days, we rocking together. We're here. That's just, it just is what it is. The fact that your kid can go over here and learn how to do multiplication like this, and then go over to mama's house and she might not teach him any math. Now your kid half stupid. She haven't taught him any math. What, can you be mad? Yeah, you can be mad. What are you gonna do about it? There's nothing you can do. Y'all not together. And then women on, and actually men on the aspect of both of y'all, when you have multiple children by people you're not married to, usually it's different dads. You rarely see the person having kids by the same person that they never got married to. It happens, but it's not common. And the thing about it is, when you pay attention to how much that negatively affects kids, you wouldn't really want to do it. Like, say for instance, right? Say I have a kid, right, with a woman. I'm very successful. I'm nice guy. You know, I'm raising my kid up right. She has another kid by a bum. We know inherently they're going to live different lives 9 times out of 10. When I die, my kid might get my life insurance policy. What is the other kid going to get? I remember seeing this with my own family because I'm the only boy. My mom has 4 kids. 2 of us have the same dad, which is me and one of my sisters, and the other 2 don't have the same dad. So we all, well, not all, but most of us have different fathers. You can clearly see the difference in us, and not just obviously looks. I mean, that's a given, but difference in values, difference in resources, difference in family. I might be able to go reach out to my dad's side of the family. My sisters might not be able to do that. That's a problem. That's marriage is beneficial for stuff like that. If I died today and I left my fortune to my kid, it would be kind of messed up that my kid has 4 other siblings that parents didn't leave them anything, so he's just the kid out the group that's winning. Y'all don't remember seeing that when y'all was younger, like in the hood? I used to see it a lot. Everybody not from the hood, but it happens a lot in the hood. That's why I spoke on it. Happens in the suburbs, but it happens a lot in the hood. You will see one kid dad, he the man in the hood. He the heavy drug dealer. His kid wearing Louis Vuitton and Gucci every day. Not every day, but they was crispy. Then you will see the other kid who dad might work a decent little job. He doing what he can. They kind of getting by. Then you might see the other kid dad who's a complete bum. So the mom got to be fully responsible for that kid. You don't think that negatively affects the kids? You don't think kids can see the difference that, damn, my brother dressed nice as hell every day. My dad doesn't do anything for me. That's why you end up with one kid that's a bum, another kid a drug dealer. You end up with one kid that's a real hustler, and the other kid just a silver spoon bum because everything was given to them or not given to them. That's how you end up with kids not even liking each other and resenting each other. It's weird when one kid going over to their father's house for the weekend and the other kid got to stay with the mama. That's weird. It's weird when 3 kids going to 3 different daddy's houses on the weekend. That's really weird. It's really common nowadays, but it's weird. It's very weird. We can talk about the monetary aspects of being married. It's a lot of monetary aspects of being married. Most men that's married tend to make more money, but it's kind of, to me, that's kind of common sense that they would make more money. Men tend to waste a lot of money and resources dating. So if you dating 100 girls versus 1, you should be able to save some money. It's not always like that, but for the most part it is. And on top of that, women can, if you have a good wife, she will definitely help you multiply some things. And she would take a lot of weight off your shoulders, i.e. them kids. Because it's not easy being a single parent. And listen, kids need both parents. I'm so tired of people trying to depict who's more important. Is it the father or the mother? They're both pretty important. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for both of my parents. They both played a part. Yeah, I got some traits more from one than the other, but they both play a part. It's very important to have a 2-parent household if you can. Think about it like I just said. Say you were a father, right? And you want your kids to grow up in a certain environment. How can you attest to the fact that they're going to be disciplined if you only see them 2 times a week? And when you leave, the mother is not following your guidance. Because your wife tends to follow your guidance. I don't care if you leave for 6 months and all you can do is make a phone call. If that's your wife, 9 times out of 10, she's going to listen to you. Hey, kids, your father said this, your father said that. You know what happened when you leave and y'all not together and there's no marriage involved? Don't worry about what he talking about. I run my house. And then I see a lot of men getting mad, or women getting mad when it's a step parent in the picture. How are you mad? You had a kid out of wedlock. What you thought was going to happen? How would you get mad about that? And I've seen this before. And it's crazy, not just the mad part, but I've seen the differences when there's a step parent in the house. Because say I break up with my son's mom and my son spends majority of the time with the mom, which a lot of times kids do spend a lot of majority of the time with the mother. What if my son's stepfather is a bum? I'm not a bum. I work hard. I bust my ass. I'm prosperous in life. But my son spends most of his day with a bum. Can I honestly attest that he won't end up being a bum? He won't have bum views? How can I say that and he's not with me 24/7? That matters. If I died today and I had a wife who actually valued me and loved me seriously and was really riding or die for me, when I died, 9 times out of 10, she would push my values on my child. She would be able to tell my child the amazing man I was and why she moved the way she moved. And she could do that if we weren't married, but we all know women tend not to move the same way when y'all not in a relationship versus when you are. And that's cool. That men do the same thing. We all kind of do it. So that's not me trying to fault women for being who they are. It is what it is. What I'm saying is a lot of us need to start looking at other aspects of marriage than just the typical you get money and you live longer. You can live longer if you just ate healthier and exercise and reduce stress. You don't need to be married to do that. That's a fact. That's not really fixed and guaranteed. You almost guaranteed to live longer if you can reduce stress, eat healthier, and exercise. You can get money without being married and you can be very successful. Another thing about being married as a man is a lot of people don't want to look at you like a leader if you don't have a household to lead. Who are you leading when you're not leading us? Where is your leadership experience? You don't have any. You don't have a wife. You have kids, but they're all over the place. You're not a leader for real. Nobody listens to you. People will see your wife listening to you like, okay, if she listened to him, maybe we should. Because that's kind of how it goes. Crowds tend to follow each other. Nobody trusts you if you're just by yourself all day. You have no responsibilities. What is your responsibility? Who are you taking care of? Who are you providing for? It doesn't look the same. It hits different. It hits different. So that's another benefit of being married. When you're married, people can see that you can be dedicated to something. When you start looking at people like the president, you don't see presidents that's not married. Because it shows dedication. It shows that you can commit to something. People like to see that you can commit. People like to see that you can be a leader. That's why they look at your kids to see the type of leadership roles you provided on your kids. So they can see, okay, he raised these type of kids. Maybe he can't help me raise my kids. How can they say that if you don't have any track record? What's your credit history of being a leader? You don't have any. That's the type of stuff you got to think about when you start talking about what's the benefits of it and arguing back and forth online with a bunch of people that, and I just don't understand how nobody touched on the legacy part. That's really the main benefit of it. Of course, there's other ones, but that's the main benefit of it. Them kids you leave behind, that legacy you leave behind. You got women, you got 3 kids, they all got 3 different last names. If my last name is Johnson and I built the Johnson Enterprises and I die right now and I leave it to my kid, the other 2 kids basically didn't get shit. And I'm not saying that's guaranteed to go that way, but why would you want one kid to be turned and the other kid's just decent? It doesn't make sense and it's selfish. I see so many people running around just acting like marriage is not important, but they got 3 kids. How did that make sense? Nobody want to make a lifelong commitment to a person, but they make a lifelong commitment to people every time they have a kid by them. Well, what's the difference? And I'm not saying everybody should get married because I don't believe that. I just told y'all what I believe. I believe if you have children or you plan on having them, marriage should always be the goal. I had a child out of wedlock. I never wanted a child out of wedlock. But guess what? I didn't stop having sex unprotected. So, hey, you got to deal with the consequences and the repercussions of your own actions. I'm fine with that. I deal with it. Luckily, me and my son's mom are decent co-parents, but I see it the other way a lot. And I see a lot of sadness with it. When it's like a lot of this could have been avoided if y'all would have just kept a strong family front and just got married. But once again, that's my point of view, my personal opinion. You can agree with it. You cannot agree with it. If you don't agree with it, feel free to tell me why. If you do agree with it, feel free to tell me that too. Please leave. I appreciate any engagement. Leave comments, likes, subscribe. As much as you can, share it, shout me out, whatever you can. I appreciate any of it. I appreciate all feedback, whether it's good or bad. I'm not sensitive. I have pretty thick skin. I'm not going to cry about you guys' opinion. And I also would definitely appreciate anybody that gives me any type of topics or ideas to touch on in the future. I'm always open. And I'm not famous enough to not read my comments. I'm not going to have a billion of them. So I'm probably going to read the comments. Or I'm going to leave my Instagram down below. Please subscribe as well. And you can DM me as well. And any topics you want me to touch on in the future. I know I'm still fairly new. So I know everybody's not going to just reach out to get my opinion on things. But hopefully you would understand how intelligent I am and how versatile I am with being able to give my opinion on a variety of different topics. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. I'm out.